Yo, what's going on, everybody? It's LIB Media. It's your boy Ricky, man. I'm back, man. I'm back to make something real quick for y'all, man. So I just wanted to talk about something real quick that I've been seeing going around a lot. So college football is coming back. NCAA just dropped. I know everybody hyped about that. I didn't get the copy yet, but I'm gonna copy soon. Today was payday, so we'll see. Your boy might have to be on the NCAA real soon, but for y'all that already got the game, y'all let me know, man. Y'all put that down in the comments, man, how the game play. I seen the gameplay and stuff online, but I ain't really get the copy yet. I had a lot of other stuff going on and all that. But with that being said, though, I've been seeing a lot of coaches, a lot of college coaches coming out talking about how the college football playoff is extended to 12 teams. And as we know from last year to this year, a lot of movement within the Power Five conferences, right? So, like Texas and Oklahoma gone to the SEC, and USC is now in the Big Ten, and just stuff like that. Like teams just moving around. So all the conferences are going to look super different this year. And so we know that Nick Saban retired, greatest college coach of all time. He retired. Because I guess he said he saw the writing on the wall and everything. So with that being said, he retired, and then so he's on TV a lot talking about it now, right? So with him being on TV talking about it, he's giving his thoughts on teams that's going to make it, who's not going to make it. But it's 12 teams now, and I believe five teams automatically make it if they win their conference. So I seen people like Daboswinney was like, it could be a problem for college football because you might have teams that be like, hey, we're already undefeated. We're going to make it. Let's sit players and all that. I don't really think any of that matters. I think Daboswinney for Clemson, he's being overly dramatic about it. I think it's great for college football because I think the 4-team playoffs was unfair. My opinion, they should have stuck with 8. I think 8 would have been a better number because 12 might be too much. But I think they had to do 12 to make the numbers work. I'm kind of with Nick Saban that I think the 8, it's 12 teams. But in my opinion, if it was 8, the 8 best teams should have make it. Because it's 12, I don't have no problem with the conference champions making it. We all know they clearly did that for Florida State because what happened to them, they went undefeated and they still didn't make it. Even though they didn't have their starting quarterback, an undefeated team should have made it, right? So with that being said, I understand why they added that rule that if you win your conference, you get to make it because especially if you go undefeated, like you should make it. I agree with that, but I also think 8 teams would have been a better number. But since we have 12 teams, I do think it's going to be good. That doesn't mean the 12th team is going to knock off the 1 team, but what it does is it creates better matchups as we're watching the games. Because, for example, when Georgia blew out TCU in that championship that they won, TCU being, I think they were the 3rd seed because TCU beat Michigan. Either way, like those types of games are kind of unentertaining and you don't really want to watch them. So I feel like when you have a game like a team like Penn State, let's just say, or maybe a Michigan with 1 loss, or like a 1-loss Oregon, them playing someone like a LSU, those games can be exciting. Those games will be more exciting, and that'll make other teams be on top of their P's and Q's a little bit more. I don't think the playoff is a bad thing. I think the only kind of coaches that really have problems with it are used to going undefeated and not wanting to have to play too many big games before they have to play the biggest game, right? They just kind of want to say, hey, we went undefeated. We should be the number 1 or number 2. And they were like, nah, let's just make the playoff. Ever since the playoff got introduced, the playoff has been excited, but it's been way too many years when they're like, oh, the 1 year Alabama didn't make it, they should have made it, or should Texas have made it, or X, Y, and Z, like Oregon, that they had a fight for it. And then it's the ranking of the schedule and all that. But that's also what made a lot of the teams say, okay, if that's the case, we're just going to go to another conference. We're going to go to the best conference. That way, if we do lose a game, you can't say our schedule was weak. You can say, hey man, like we lost the game, but we lost to so and so or this team, right? Because that gives you, it just gives you the upper hand. I would say in the situation. So um, I do think a lot of the schedules are going to be kind of wonky because of that. Like we also got to remember, like these are college kids, like they're in school, like like when you're a student athlete, your student is supposed to come first. It's supposed to. Now it doesn't all the time, like them coaches gonna make sure you at practice, and they're gonna make sure, like, because they're paying you money to come to school, but it's supposed to be student athletes. So when certain teams that gotta travel like these far distances to play football games and then have to try to kind of turn around and get the class on Monday, it'll be a lot on them. But you know, as far as the actual football game part of it, I think the games will be a lot more exciting. I'm interested to see how this 12-team thing works, though. I can't just think of 12 teams off the top of my head, and I know this is going to be a revolving window thing that changes, because I feel like even if it's 12 teams, most people are saying like, oh, all the other teams that end up joining are going to be SEC teams, right? Like, oh, well, this team, oh, Ole Miss should have made it, or Missouri should have made it last year, which they were good football teams and they probably should have made it. I'm not really even going to disagree with that part. I just think in the same breath, right? Like, you can have or in Ohio State or Penn State, who might have two losses, Ohio State who can have one loss, or Michigan, depending on whoever win their game, right? Or like even hopefully USC looks a lot better this year. It's a lot of teams that I think people aren't really talking about that were good. Like I think Oregon could have given anybody a run for their money, and honestly, Oregon might be the most stacked team this year. Like just looking at everything that they got, so I just think the actual playoff itself is going to be a very interesting thing. I'm excited for it. I think I think if too much teams that are too far down the list get in, I think they'll drop it down to 8 games. I think 8 games would have been the sweet spot. But who knows? This college football probably could be exciting. Are we going to have some dud games? Yes. It's just like watching bowl games, right? You see some very exciting bowl games. You see some dud bowl games. That's going to happen. But the flip side of that is it's going to be a lot of other games that are super exciting, because college football needs more teams playing against other teams that are on their level. College football needs less of, hey, I play for X, Y, and Z team, and for our first 3 non-conference games, we're gonna play a bunch of bums and we're just gonna run through them, and nobody cares about seeing that. You're not really excited about it. So I would like to see more teams playing teams on their level. So now we actually got a game and we're actually watching something. Like now we're like, oh, okay, now this is interesting. Now we get to see how good these players really are, without their confidence being super high and the whole season being decided off of one game. Like, oh, they got 2 losses, but they beat this one team, so they're all the way up here. Now it can't be decided on that because the schedules are going to be more flushed out. And then you got a team like Notre Dame, who it's gonna be weird for them because they can't really win the conference because they're not really in one. Like it's like they play like free fall. So like I wonder how they're gonna address that. But with NIL being here, I'm excited too, because now I can see that the talent is kind of spreading around college football. We might have, some teams that used to be pretty good teams kind of show back up again, like Texas A&M. Texas A&M was somebody who was like, okay, let's see what might happen this year. So just all in all, I'm excited. If I was y'all, I wouldn't listen to what these coaches are saying. Like some of them are just kind of, upset and mad that it don't work the way it used to work. NIL has changed the whole game. The college football playoff has changed the whole game, and now it's going to be exciting, and that's going to be something to watch, and we can all be tuned in for 2 to 3 weeks, like really trying to figure out, all right, who's going to win this thing? Like now we can really tune in, and it's going to bring money to the schools and everything. So that's something I wouldn't really trip on. But this your boy Rick, man. That's my thoughts on that, man. Y'all like, comment, subscribe, man. Y'all let us know what y'all think about it. Y'all let us know if there's anything even college football related that y'all want us to tune into. Hopefully My cousin will be on here soon. And we'll just rock like that, man. So y'all just holler at me. This LIB Media, man, and I'm out of here.